Hey guys, welcome to another video. So today I'm going to look at this Marvel Superheroes Nightmares of Future Past module accessory. They call them official advanced game accessory. This is MX1 6873 by Stephen Winter, and we have this awesome cover at the front, and it's immediately clear this adventure is going to have Sentinels. So this is an original booklet, and it's published in 1987, as you can see down here, by TSR. And these books often come with two parts. So basically the booklet in the middle, which you can pull out, and then you have the interior of the cover. This one's got a search flowchart for the GM there, and then we have over this side the Sentinel's base, a nice map with some details. It's that monotone color. Used to be blue with Dungeons and Dragons. It's sometimes orange with this. So we have a booklet. It's about 36 pages or something like that. Not very big, but lots of text. That's something that's always present with these things. So initially, this module sets up a nightmare background, and the players, the implication is that they will be playing mutants, Mutant Affairs Control Act. As it is with almost all superpowered characters, the general public was skeptical about the existence of mutants. While superpowered heroes and villains could be found almost anywhere in the world and all across the United States, they were highly visible only in New York and, to a lesser extent, Los Angeles. Okay, so we have a doubting population in this nightmare future. And so we have this is for the GM to absorb. This is to understand the setting. And we have a mutant control system. Project Wide Awake wasted no time before jumping into action against mutants. The first issue that needed to be dealt with was how mutants should be handled. And then we have Sentinels Reborn. When about to visit, it became more and more evident that conventional means were wholly inadequate to deal with mutants. So they have employed Sentinels. And you can see some more art here. Look how cool this is. Sort of depicting the depravity of mutants. There's a caste system in this time. Stratification of society began with registration. So you've got to have an identification card, and you are constantly being monitored as a mutant. And there's a general feel of decline of civilization as well. So it's a kind of dystopian image, and the players will find themselves potentially within this world. Sentinel organization. The smallest unit of Sentinel organization is a triad. A triad consists of 3 Sentinels, usually Alpha Sentinels. Is a typical patrol unit. So Sentinels are rarely encountered singly or in pairs. Sentinel lore. And here we have a collection of the Sentinels and what their stats are. And you can see there's a range. You've got a Mark 4, Mark 5, Mark 6. Known powers. Flight, of course. Mutant detection. So they've all been equipped with the ability to find the mutants. You can see them here. What a lovely image that is. And we have an Alpha Sentinel. Much tougher. And then over here we've got a few other even more powerful ones. Omega Sentinel and the Nimrod. And that has got a range of powers here. Matrix battle computer. Mutant detection, as we've seen before. body armor, energy beam. Nimrod's energy beams encompass the entire spectrum of electromagnetic energy, molecular energy, and concussive sonics. And there's a whole range of skills going on down here, powers. It's a lot to remember for the GM. We have a sentinel surveillance base, and it's got a list of the rooms here. A sentinel can operate for a long time independently. Usually, however, they operate in squadrons out of a surveillance base. A surveillance base is a module by sentinel standards. So is this a sentinel's base is here at the back of the book? Okay, so we have that map. If the players find themselves in that position, they'll be playing on that map. The DM can refer to that. I personally like to lay these maps out. If that means that they need to be enlarged potentially, then I'll do that. So we have Sentinels are not the only organized enemies of mutants. So we have Blue Knights, a typical policeman. You can see here. And they've got the SWAT AM stands for Special Weapons and Tactics Anti-Mutant. So you're getting this real trend of a world against mutants. And then we have here the Hugh Blue Bloomal. Hugh Bloomal is a mutant hound, a captive used by the SWAT AM teams. There you go. So even further, they've got pets and animals that can fight the mutants. And then the mutants underground. All right, so we're going into the world of mutants. We've got your papers, please. The procedures that the mutants have to go through, which the players will probably have to experience. Wow, look at this sun piece of boom. Look at that there. All right, we've got wild weasels. A wild weasel is an electronic decoy designed to imitate the organic structure of a mutant. Wild weasels create a multitude of mutant readings on the Sentinel scanners, allowing real mutants to blend into the general chaos without attracting special attention. And that means, therefore, that the players probably will be able to use one of these wild weasels potentially to cover their movements. Masking devices. So we're coming into methods by which the players can interact with, which will allow them to avoid the Sentinels. There's also passing for human. Most mutants look like humans. There you go. Without an organic analyzer, they are impossible to tell from humans. All right, so there's a approach. There's the approach, right. So we've got special rules here. There's a few resources, karma, part of the karma rule system there. And then we have the actual location where the players may be working from. So we've got night and fog is the header for this one. And you can see here we've got enclosures. But at the top, Mutant Internment Center is typical of the prison camps which have been constructed across the country. It is comparatively a small camp, but well equipped to carry out missions. Unfortunately, there is no map of this included with the book, which is a shame because you could use that. That could be a good place maybe for the players to end up or to have to interact with. And we have a list of all the different rooms here. Maybe you'll just have to make one. Maybe you can download a map from the internet to play this. You've got a research pen, mutant facilities, morgue, sorting pen, pens, lots of pens for the morgue, for the mutants. X-ray pen. So if anyone is known to have or suspected of having superpowers, you'll be assigned to the X-ray pen. The only way to avoid this is to conceal the powers or bribe the guards. So again, methods by which the players can avoid being discovered or avoiding sticky situations. There are also non-player characters that you can interact with. This adventure does not have a star villain, but it includes lots of opportunities for the characters to deal with non-player characters, NPCs. Some of these characters are evil and dangerous. Others can provide official critical aid and protect the fugitive mutants, the players. So these people they could interact with. You've got the stats. Gerard, Gage, human journalist. You've got a shop owner, a rogue leader called Bigfoot, human geneticists. They've all got similar kind of resources there. And then events and scenarios. Okay, so it's intended to be set in your hometown, while the grim events of the future are taking place all across the country. Cities that are currently hotbeds of superhero activity, like New York and Los Angeles, were reduced to rubble in the early stages of the conflict. So again, we have this whole situation where it's a different world, and this is happening close to home. So several dozen outlines for short adventures that can be played against the backdrop of the future. There is no standard set of encounters in this adventure. Instead, the judge uses the search flow chart and his own sense of drama to introduce events and encounters in the campaign. So here we go. You can use the flow chart. Now, personally, I think that with these things, they tend to just lead naturally into their own events. So you start out with something, and if we skip here, Vigilantes are basically the same as rogues, only slightly more respectable. Instead of being part of a permanent gang, vigilantes tend to band together. So there may be a group of vigilantes. The players may well be the vigilantes. But we've got a escapee. Occasionally a mutant manages to escape from the internment center. Internment center being mentioned again there. This always triggers a major search. The camp's chief of security fears that if an escapee ever reached the mutant underground. Okay, so maybe the players, your players, are going to save an escapee. There's a hostage, a prominent hostage a human has been kidnapped by renegade mutant terrorists. There's bureaucracy, internment center. This kind of feels like maybe the escapee that the players were trying to save, they don't, and he gets taken to the internment center. Maybe the players themselves get captured and taken to the internment center and set against this dark future. And there is someone maybe in the internment center, or the escapee themselves could be someone who could help them get back to their own reality. And escape is the ultimate goal of every interned character. Players will come up with dozens of escape plans. The judge must consider the plan and decide how the guards. Yes, so the judge, who I've been calling the GM just out of habit, has all these different bits, different things at their fingertips. So a really nice, terrifying setting for the characters to play mutants in, with a system, with locations that the players can work with. This module strikes me that it could well span 3, 4, or 5 sessions, maybe even more, be a little mini campaign. So that's a lot in one little module, which I think is pretty cool. But yet, having said that, there's still quite a lot of work to be done for the judge, the GM, to do. So it's a bit, you'd probably have a whole range of notes that are going on with this, and maybe look up some other maps. More maps would have been useful, and perhaps some interesting mutant NPCs, but there don't really seem to be too many of those. I think there's one actually in here under the escapee section, which is probably just worth knowing about. Ah, yes, mutant being chased. There's a rescue. The mutant is Oliver Pierce, or Olive Pierce, if you decide to make her female. And it's got some stats here: powers, teleportation, gravity manipulation. So that character sounds interesting. Maybe come up with a superhero name for that character. So guys, I hope you found this video interesting. It's a bit of an exploration for my own interests. I want to learn more about these old modules, see what they have to offer, and in that way, hopefully, you guys can learn something and find it interesting. If you do, Click the thumbs up if you're not subbed already. We're only a small channel, so it'd be fantastic if you could. And I will bring some more content to you soon. Thank you.